Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ro again. I just wanted to talk to you about something that happened today. So I'm gonna title this Worth, basically, you know. So you know the two cops that punched that lady in her eye socket and it broke, they were found innocent. Eric Garner, they were found innocent. Michael, they found innocent. Little girl shot by police, killed, found innocent. Boy Skittles, found innocent. Guy who shoots 3 people in the vehicle, 2 of them found innocent. The one that lives, he had to pay for it. Man, guy handcuffed behind his back, police shoots him. Pretty sure they found him innocent too. So here's what happened that made me wonder, hey, did they find a cop guilty for killing a human being? Even if it wasn't a black person, a human being? So here's goes. Cop kills elk in Boulder. I'm guessing Colorado because it's an elk. Boulder, Colorado. Anyway, so cop gets found guilty. Like 11 counts of doing this. The whole entire state in the uproar. The people in the uproar because of the information found, the pictures, the videos, whatever, what have you. They did a huge investigation on this cop and found him guilty for 11 counts of killing an animal. Another thing, boy goes to jail for killing a police dog. So, to add to this story, I'm going to tell you something. I was talking to this girl in the grocery store. She was working as a cashier. I asked her if she was going to college. She said yes. She said she wants to go to school for sociology. She wants to be a child care worker, social worker, if you will. And her history was as a result of her being in the foster care system, not being able to have an adult of her bloodline to be able to take care of her, or any corresponding people of the settlement, if you will, because that's we're going to use these biblical thought processes to be able to look out for her best interests in heart. I told her it's great, and she needed to do it. People think it's a bad idea for her to do it, she said, and what she knows for a fact is that these kids need her and need people like her to be able to help her, to help them, so that they themselves won't fall through the cracks. And I told her, excellent. And I said to her, the sad truth is that people don't really understand the need for people like you.
Turn right after 700 feet.
To make it even worse, they'd prefer to own an animal and adopt animals over adopting children. I think that's a travesty in itself. Now, you know, certain people that I have as friends, how dare you think that? How dare you tell these people to adopt? Let people who care for them take them. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight for you so that you can realize this and see this, okay? Number one, if you're a person of the kingdom, it's rules and regulations of how we live, whether you believe in just the gospels or just the law, point blank period. If you don't understand that your responsibility is the orphan and the widow, then you're reading the wrong book. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say basically off of the fact that it's scripture. Now,
please turn next right.
The issue with people wanting them or anything like that, that's a issue of a heart condition. Point blank period. No matter what I say, those people ain't gonna take those kids in because their heart is wrong. Their heart's foul. You know. Now, to recap, I'm saying to this lady that is gonna do the right thing. It's a travesty that people would be willing to get animals over children, human beings. And
Please turn
frankly,
next left.
these animals have more rights than humans. And this other lady looked at me like she wanted to snap on me. And I'm like, yo, go ahead and say something so I can slaughter your whole thought process on what I'm saying right now, because I will chew you up and spit you out on this subject. Anybody want to challenge me on that and have a discussion? Go ahead, share it with your boy. Share it with ASPA. That's ASPCA. Let's go ahead and have this conversation, because that's a debate I would love to take. Go ahead and tell them so we can do this. Now, here's the situation again. Boy goes to jail to spend life imprisonment for shooting a police dog that was gonna attack him. Man got on 11 accounts, probably 16. I just gave up counting. I needed to recount it for shooting an elk, plus like a $20,000 fine or some junk like that. But kill a black person, what happens? Right now, the Indonesians, here's a little historical fact for you. Kushites were all in the Indus Valley. So most of the Indus Valley was populated by Kushites. Hindus, Hindus came later. You do your research on that. So whatever religion they think they got from the Shemite branches or whatever, whatnot, they're offshoots of the thought processes of what a supreme being was. And they always furnished their own gods because they always wanted their own answers. So however ancient you think this is, it's only connected to the children of Adam. And they're hard-headed, erect their own god to decide their lives instead of trusting in the creator of all things. That's where the word kara comes in. Remember, utterance, law, crying out to God. Think about that. But yes, in this world, in this country, animals have more rights than human beings. More specifically, indigenous human beings. And continued ex-slaves. Wherever tragedy you think that happened to anybody who thinks that they are or have a or demand are connected to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say elitist because it's not necessarily elitist, but more so privileged, that they think they have to get something because they're anybody, which again is why I don't keep titles, because that's a dangerous thing. When you get to that point, God can't talk to you. That's it. But when you think you're owed or promised something without the life lived, then people recognize you for it, and they typically only recognize one class of people, or rather two classes. One is race, which is going to always be predominantly Caucasian. That's why it's always an issue for a colored person to complain about a travesty against them, because they're tired. As far as they're concerned, in a lot of cases, these rich, spoiled brats whose parents rose them up pompous to lack the understanding, which differs from Tim Wise, who actually, his parents lived in a racist society and got tired of it and realized that the only way that they can deal with their kid and being able to raise them up the best way they can is to put them around almost nothing but black people. When you're raised like that, you'll never understand the plight of another man because you're selfish and you're dark-hearted. It's all about you. Go listen to the Lil Wayne song, Me, it's all about me. How about that? But they'll never understand our rights because they're always expressing why their rights is going to be always important. Hence the Republican movement. The whole entire theory behind the Republican movement is aristocracy. They'll try to tell you, oh yeah, you don't need the government. We can make our own decisions. But really, they're saying that, my friends, because they got all the money and you ain't got the money. So they can create their laws, and they got their best friends and aunties, uncles, cousins, and bloodline members connected to this, and they're about to have sex with their next generation of kin, and they're going to continue mating, and they're going to continue joining societies and groups that are made for them and are able to dictate what happens in this world. So what's gonna end up happening is, while you, not being a good old boy in this United States of America, are trying to get past and get through something, they're gonna keep talking to their friends and setting up laws and regulations and rules that help them slide and graze by, and to be misers and to be able to increase their wealth in this world. And if you want to be a part of us, then you're going to have to join our services, our system, and sell your own brothers and sisters out. On the other hand, you got the Democrats that say the people should have. Meanwhile, they're taxing everybody high, and they're getting contracts and getting donations that they don't have to pay back, and that they don't have to use, and they don't have to put on their taxes. So there's nobody really for you. I keep saying this all the time. Now, when you have to deal with these things, especially in this kind of country, it's going to make you mad. And some people are going to make a lot of bad decisions because they don't understand. Remember, I just put a video out on Facebook called Warfare. So for me to see this whole thing go on, it's a psychological aspect to this. An animal's life is worth more than mine. And for a black person especially, or a Native American especially, to take up a cause outside of a general census clause like humanism or child welfare, and they go take up an animal's rights when animals get more and have more than you, then we got a problem here. When you're a Native American and you're talking about you hate kids, or you are a West Indian and you talk about you dislike children, or you don't want no more children because they butt at your head and stuff like that, there's a heart conditional problem. And obviously you don't know the whole entire factor that it takes to raise any children. Because while you're 20 or 30 years old, someday you're going to be 60 years old and you may have diabetes, and you may have glaucoma, you may have diabetic retinopathy, and you may not be able to retain your own piss. And you're going to have to deal with those 20-year-olds that you neglected. So you better start learning how to get this done right. We don't have rights. Animals have more rights than us. And there's a lot of ignorant people out there that continue to fight for these things, which, don't get me wrong, if it wasn't for some of these laws and regulations, then a lot of these animals would just be purely killed for sport. They would purely be wiped out because of genocide, because people are able to get them for free, and they are able to hunt them without being able to be checked. But overall consensus is that these protected things have more rights than us. Don't forget, the ability for a black person to vote in the United States of America is a temporary thing. It's not fixed. That's why it has expiration dates, and the ability or necessity is for you to re-sign bills. That's why zoning laws change, because it changes on the majority of the people that's out there, in the hopes that the aristocracy can be able to cut off at the hinges any possible help that these people can get from stopping one of their politicians from getting into office. Research. And what shall we give to you, POTUS? What shall we provide to you, Caesar? What shall we give to you, Pharaoh? We shall sacrifice our own brothers and sisters in this world. I'm joking, but I'm kind of not joking. They sell you out, man. They make all these rules and regulations for wildlife and for nature, but these rules and regulations have twists in there. A lot of times they add one line into multiple bills until they're satisfied with the level of the bill that they already have. And a lot of people side with them because it's pretty much too late. And even some people side with them because, you know, they're stuck in a bind because they want their laws passed in their country too. So it's basically sleeping with the devil to get these things done. Animals have lobbyists. You don't. Rarely. The percentage of your lobbyists from a socio-economic financial label is nilched to none, almost less than none, you know. And again, I say to you, an animal, I bet you won't be able to do anything to an animal in the United States. And even insects, You know, in the state of Georgia, you kill a ladybug, you in trouble if you get caught. Do not get caught killing ladybugs in the state of Georgia. Do not get caught, I think it is, killing squirrels in Montana. Do not get caught. You get caught, you go to jail. You get sued. You'll have to pay a penalty. Play around. Play around and see what happened to your butt. But these creatures are more protected than you. Endangered species are more protected than you. When you realize it and you do the actual projection and calculations and statistics of how many black people should be in the United States of America after slavery, technically the people in the United States are and should be an endangered protected species as well, because our percentages are declining. The amount of our men that are in the workforce and educated is on the decline. So really, we're an endangered species too. But we're an endangered species that need to be blotted out, needed to be forgotten about because of the history that's gone against us and the wealth that's been coming out of our nations when we don't get anything. You gotta look at the Indus Valley. Most of those areas in the Indus Valley that are controlled by certain people was owned by the Kushites nations, was owned by dark races. Mizraimites, gone. Moroccans, true Moroccans, gone. Sudanians separated by faith, and then, to make matters worse, cut off from their own brothers and sisters, bloodline relatives, right next door to each other. Thank you, Gandhi, because we got separation of India and Pakistan, Muslims and Hindus. All this stuff is historical, but you don't know about the black people that are in India, the Kushites that are in India, the true Arabs that are in India that are being killed off and their rights are being taken away because basically they want you to see the whitewashed version of everything. The whitewashing of history is what they've been using all this time. And they're protecting their animals, but they're not protecting you or your rights. And unless you know historical factors and stuff, you will not understand why even in Indonesia today, for them to be occupying the land of the Papuans and beating them to near death, having them stripped and demoralized, cutting off their hair or whatever other crap they could possibly be doing, because I'm not there, raping them just like they raped us males back then. But you're not going to hear about that in history. I mean, perish the thought of male slaves being sexually molested by their slave owners, as if that didn't happen during the times of Greece or Egypt or Rome or Macedonia or Babylon or Persia, hello, or Catholicism, or I say Catholicism because of the reason they had a lot of territory. So Catholicism was a nation in itself, was almost as big as Solomon, was big, if not bigger than Solomon's kingdom. The Brits, the Anglos, the Saxons, the Norse, like, you're gonna pretend like this stuff didn't happen? Get the heck out of here. You got no rights. Animals got more rights than you. They gotta make sure there's certain food there. They protect the trees for deforestation, which is still a good thing because of oxygen and everything else like that. But really, man, with a bunch of people that have been psychosomatically indoctrinated and psychiatrically or socioeconomically demoralized, running around angry and confused and with their heads cut off with no leaders, why in the world would you think that overall they care? We are just ratings on TV. There's some people that actually see the solidarity, the reason and the purpose for this, but overall, in the grand scope of things, this will be forgotten, and it's always forgotten. And proof of the evidence is that still, even to this day, with all the complaints that black people have about anything, there is no united front in the United States of America for the black man. Gun rights have the NRA. Women have breast cancer awareness. I know you ain't gonna talk about the Rainbow Republic or the Black Caucus or the 100 black men or the 1 million man march or something they do every year as true solidarity for blacks. The grand scope of things, most gun people are together in these things. Most people fighting for leukemia is for the grand scope of leukemia. Left-handers have a group, but most left-handers don't even know about the group anyway. You know, just different things like that should tell you something's wrong with the scope of how we do things in here. Again, our ability to lobby is essential. They put this dude out. Almost 11 to 16 counts. Found guilty. $20,000 fine. Or is it $200,000 fine? I can't remember precisely. But killing a black person, yeah, he acted pretty professional. He was well within the grounds of what his job was as an officer. He feared for his life. Clearly, a man who shoots a guy with his under his armpits and in his chest and in his rib cage was afraid for his life by a man pulling a gun when your arms gotta be down to pull a gun out of your waist, right? All right. Just punching a girl in her eye, breaking her socket bone, and then you saying that he was very professional. Come on, dudes. Come on. And how many of us are Christian? I'll never forget this dude. His family's been in the industry that I was in the past for almost a century, right? He's rich blood. As soon as he finished college, or while he was in college, they, because of his family name, he gave this dude a manager position instantly. Didn't know anything about the industry, and started explaining to me why there needs to be poor people and why taxes don't need to be taken out of your money, or why rich people shouldn't have to pay that much taxes, privilege, and the issue of the education of the people is the issues, and which is kind of true, but not the way the rich man puts it. But they get handouts left and right because of their bloodlines. And if you think about it, the Bible even talks about that. It talks about people pleaser or being respecter of person. It's not as foul. The Bible talks about, Solomon talks about a servant actually gaining the house and being able to control everything that the blood-brower can't control because of the honorable way that they work towards it. But we're talking about a day and age where Yah actually matter to the world. Today it doesn't. Their God is Ammon. Their God is that mighty dollar, that dinar, that Egyptian gold, you know, that oil. They don't give about you. All I want to really say is they don't really care about us. So, how do you solve this? How do you solve this situation of not being seen as mattered? Malcolm X handled it one way, Martin Luther King handled it another way. I'm not so sure that Malcolm X's way was the best way, but I'm positive I'm not necessarily even happy with the way that Martin Luther King did it overall now that I see how the greater scope is. There's some positive things in it that he learned from Gandhi, that Gandhi actually learned from the Bible. I still think, though, that overall the grand scope of the thought process is what's undermined. Because even David, where he was fighting the Philistines and the Canaanites and the Amorites and the Edomites, he pretended to be against Saul only so that he can have land be fulfilled and taken care of by the Canaanites and sneak out like ninjas and cut up and destroy Achish's people. His nickname was the Riders of Achish, Ziklag Boys. Now you know what that name comes from. Ziklag, the Riders of Achish. Research it. But yeah, devised a way to kill their foes and their enemies. And again, that's all part of warfare, not necessarily kill people today. That's why I said I can't really say that Malcolm X's way is actually right all the way, but he had the right thing. You need to hit them where it hurts. You know, you want to deal with these lives of these animals matter? Okay, well, stop buying meats from these people and start raising your own. Start finding alternative things to eat and make sure that it's something that you can process in mass quantity and trade with somebody else. You know? Start showing your own worth by developing yourself. And start showing your own worth by lowering up and going to community meetings or becoming stewards over one another's welfare. Taking the ones that we don't identify or agree with and educating them, so when they are able to be in the positions that you need, they will better understand the scope of the issues because they themselves went through, as well as being able to go out there and assist, if you will, in the development of your group. That's where the whole thought process of the politician came from, a spokesperson for the people within the area of the region. However, what we know about politicians is politicians work on what politicians want to work on. And politicians, in the process of them working on what they're working on, barely go over anything that goes outside of the box of what they want to do unless they have somebody in their backside to do it. Those people are called lobbyists. Those people are also called focus groups, or they create a audit group that audits government, and those people are able to dictate and change the scope of how things are done and found ethical or unethical. So we need to know these kind of things, people. We need to be able to research these things and design these things so we can help each other. Love one another, for this is how they should know me, of me. Know that you are of me for the love that you have of each other. And carry your burdens lest it causes you to sin. Or even unto the death, Lord, I'm going to do what you say rather than what they say, without the fear of persecution. And if persecution may come, it's glory for the sake of the kingdom. But within all that things, you got to act, and you got to research and develop yourselves. And the more you research and develop, the less that they can be able to take hold of you. The less this world sees as if your life does not matter compared to other things. Animals we're talking about. Animals have more rights than you do, people. What you gonna do about that, people? What you gonna do? A dog's worth is more than a black man. Because hey, if that dog accidentally grabbed that man's neck and snapped it or bit it off or attacked it, guess what they would have said? The guy was struggling, we tried to stop him, we tried to call him, but the guy was provoking a police officer. That animal's a police officer. You better not mess with that animal, you about to get shot. Think about this. Think about this. It's all good now, it doesn't matter now until it's your child, until it's your parents, until it's your relatives that gotta go through that situation. And it's easy to neglect it or reject it, when all honesty, wholeheartedly, push comes to shove, if it was you, you want the whole world to defend and attack it. So why not defend or attack it? How many of us should be having blogs or should have videos or should be writing papers that express the necessity of change and not necessarily undermine, but highlight the ignorance to the rules and regulations that we got in this country that are able to provide a comparison to the devilry within our socioeconomic structure in our country, in our world, but we dare spend money that should have went to our people on other opposing nations, because psychologically speaking, when you look at your paperwork compared to what they have to their populace, they need it. However, when you look at our populace and the loss that we've received in the last 700 years, the 600 years, or 500 years, as being a group of people that are continually mishandled, man. You're selfish, fake, hateful, liar, devil. Woe unto you, hypocrites. Look up the book, because we can do this if we really, really, really take the time to make this mark. If we really want to get the change done, we can change this. Well, research. Because truthfully, honestly, absolutely no animal should have any rights superior to yours. A group dying off, whose daughters are marrying into everybody but you, because honestly, TV makes everybody else look good but you. Whose sons are in prison, who got discouraged and lacked the desire to be educated, and lacks the finances as well. I mean, come on, help us, because we need the help. Again, animals have more rights than you. What you going to do about it?